Got it. Thank you. So Alethea, you are the technician tonight, huh?
Yeah, today Marta was a bit sick.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hi, Juan. Okay, yeah, because I thought she was going to do it, but I'm glad you were able to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
That's quite uplifting and relieving that there are people who are interested in volunteering, and like Lindsay. I don't know if Lindsay's in the group. I can't quite tell, but she did an amazing job on the website. We now have a functional calendar and stuff. It's quite nice.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, you might check it out.
Yeah,
And she's still in process. She's saying she's open to suggestions and
right.
So maybe oh, here comes Javier. Hola, Javier. Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, Jim.
Gracias por tu donativo, la primera transferencia a nuestra cuenta de una persona fuera de los maestros.
Bueno,
Gracias.
nada, gracias a ti.
De nada. In Saludana, is there anybody new to Saludana? Okay, great. I see at least two hands. Welcome. And how about to meditation? Also new to meditation or no? I see shaking head and person in the back. I can't quite tell.
It seems they have experience meditating.
Oh, good. Takes the pressure off me. No, That's a joke. I do very much like the idea of the beginner's mind, you know, that we're all beginners and every moment is new. Every moment is filled with surprise. Whoops. What happened here? One more person coming. So maybe I'll explain a little bit for those of you who are new. So our usual format on Sunday evening, afternoon, is to meditate for about 30 minutes, 31, 32 minutes on a seated meditation. And then we have a moment afterwards where we can ask any questions or share. And then lately, after that, we've been doing a walking meditation for maybe 6, 7, 8 minutes, followed by a Dharma talk, talking about Buddha Dharma. Lately, we've been talking about the 7 factors of awakening. And then we end with a metta, a short loving kindness or goodwill meditation. And given that I have to finish packing because I'm leaving for America tomorrow morning early, we'll probably try to finish right on time or even a couple minutes early. And I'm really kind of excited, but one of my meditation teachers, his name is Martin Allward, and he just wrote this beautiful book, Awake Where You Are, The Art of Embodied Awareness, embodied awareness. And he's going to actually stay in this apartment that I rent in Paris on Tuesday for a week. So I've also been trying to clean it for him. My practicing dana towards my teacher. So everybody seated? Everybody settled in?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So no surprises today. We are going to just start with a calming or centering. Samatha is the name in Pali or in Sanskrit, samatha or samadhi. Practice, and then after about 20 minutes or so, we'll open it up to a vipassana practice, which is maybe best translated in English as insight, seeing things clearly. And the idea on a shorter meditation like this is to just notice the changing nature of phenomena, how things come, they stay a short time, and then they go. So without further ado, are there any questions, preguntas, dudas? Okay. So turn on our little timer. So the first thing we want to do is arrive into this body, like the title of Martin's book, Embodied Awareness. We want an embodied awareness. So how do we do that? How do we create an embodied awareness? And the first step is to find our body with our attention, with our awareness. So we just drop down, figuratively speaking, I guess, drop down into the body and feel it, experience it. Notice it. So however you get there, whatever clues, evidence, characteristics that you notice. So maybe there's a sense of weight, right? Heaviness in the body. Or maybe there's a sense of lightness, spaciousness in the body. Maybe there's currents of energy flowing through the body, maybe touching the skin. And hopefully there's sensation at the points of contact where the body touches the chair or the cushion or the floor. Any sensation can help you create that embodied presence, that embodied awareness. Just feeling the body. And maybe feeling the whole posture. So like expand your awareness or imagine that you can blanket or cover or encapsulate your whole body, your whole posture in awareness. This alone can be a very effective and pleasant, even meditation object. So when your mind drifts off into thought, we return to the posture, to the sitting body, and continue to feel it, experience it, until once again the mind wanders away, the attention wanders away. When we notice, we bring it back to the posture. Or we can go more narrow with our attention and use the breath. So let's find the breath. You might notice it in the chest, in the belly, or if you narrow your focus even more, you find it in the nostrils, the area of the upper lip. So this is a more narrow focus. Good if you're feeling tired, sleepy. I recommend a narrower focus, more intense, you might say. And with the breath, you can use different tools. You can count your breath, count your exhalations, maybe up to 5. Then count backwards again. Anytime you get lost, just start again at 1. And we can also use labels. Breathing in, breathing out. thinking, returning, breathing in, breathing out. Labeling is a very useful tool to track our experience. As soon as we're labeling, noticing, and then putting a label on it, we're present. We're not drifted off. And then lastly, as a possibility, as an anchor, as an object, could be sounds, hearing. If the body is just too uncomfortable today, you can use sounds, just waiting for them to come. Returning to listening, turning to waiting. So let's just practice for a while, simply coming back to whatever object or anchor you choose. Posture, breath, sounds. Coming back again and again with kindness, curiosity, an open mind, and hopefully without judging, criticizing. It's not important how long we can stay with our anchor, as much as it is important that we keep coming back to it, that we wake up again from whatever dream or fantasy or plan or worry that we were lost in, and we come back. This coming back trains the mind, strengthens the mind. It's like going to a mental gymnasium. Now maybe your mind is a little more settled, a little more centered or concentrated. And if not, no problem. But let's try a more open awareness where we allow whatever is most dominant, most obvious to be our anchor. So rather than we choose the anchor chooses us, chooses our attention. So maybe sound will be the most obvious. So we just pay attention to the sounds, listening. Or maybe there's a physical sensation, a foot that's asleep or a knee that hurts. Let that be your anchor. Or maybe a thought. See if you can pay attention to your thoughts if they're very strong. See what happens. And if there's nothing more obvious than your chosen anchor from before, then just stay with that. Or you can just keep practicing samatha, no problem, no pasa nada. If you decide to practice the vipassana, in the back of your mind, we are aware of the changing nature of all phenomena. We notice how things come and they go. All phenomena being impermanent, all conditioned phenomena. Anicca, the Pali word, anicca. So as we approach the end of our formal practice here, let's return to the body. So no matter where the attention has been, no matter how the meditation has gone, you can always start again with that embodied presence, that embodied awareness. So coming back to the body, feeling the body, inhabiting the body. Maybe again, feeling the whole posture. Allowing the awareness to extend right to the level of the skin. And maybe even beyond into the energetic field of our bodies. Noticing any sensation that might be present. And then, if you're willing, bringing your attention to your heart space, to your chest area. And thanking yourself mentally for your practice, the goodness of your practice, the fact that you've taken time out of your day this Sunday to meditate with others. This is not always so easy, there's always temptations out there to do this or do that, but here we are. And then thanking others around you on Zoom, YouTube, practicing together, supporting our practice. And then taking this gratitude and imagining you can just extend it out in all directions, infecting the world with gratitude rather than coronavirus. And then when you hear the sound of the bell, just as always, noticing what comes up. Sound, senses, sensations, thoughts. Thank you all very much. Welcome, Lara and Nacho. I'm going to pin the sala here so I can see you guys in the room. It's funny, I had a thought about something that I thought I wanted to share with you. And I've forgotten what it was. Hopefully it'll come. I was hoping it would be useful. Yeah, can't remember. Anyways, thank you for your practice. It really is a privilege for me to have practiced in Madrid for, those some number of years. And the fact that you guys show up like this and I do it through a computer, but it's better than nothing. Next week, I'll actually be in California, so it'll be morning time for me. Anyways, that thought isn't arising. So I will open up the room. Is there anybody who'd like to share about the meditation, or maybe has a question about the meditation or about meditation in general, maybe at your home practice? This might have been what I wanted to share with you, so I'll talk about it a little bit. But so the Vipassana style that we do at the end is only one of many different kinds of Vipassana practices that you can do. I find it, a nice little way when you only have like 10 minutes. But a lot of teachers won't even introduce this type of meditation, which sometimes can be called choiceless awareness or choiceless attention, until maybe you've been on retreat for a week or even longer. So don't have too much expectation about it, right? But the idea is to see how things come and go, and to see how the attention just moves around. And we observe this almost, right, with another level of awareness. So like there's the awareness, the level of attention that's paying attention, let's say, to the sounds or to the sensations or to the breath. And then there's even another level of awareness that's being aware that we are aware. And this has actually got a name that they call it awareness of awareness. And many, many teachers actually think that it is probably the finest meditation that the Buddha taught, maybe even more so than the absorption jhanas, because you are aware, right? You can use it to even be aware walking down the street. While if you're in absorption, you can't even get up, let alone walk down the street. So it's a very useful practice in not only our seated formal practice, but in our daily lives, to be aware that we're aware, because we're always aware. I mean, whether we know it or not, we are aware. It's like something will happen and then we've noticed it. Maybe somebody will ring the bell. We're aware, we notice it. And maybe we're lost in thought, but then we notice it. And so at this level of awareness, which some people, might use the term observer, the observador, observadora, it's observing the process of paying attention. It's observing the process of being conscious. And some people will even go so far as to argue that observer is our true nature. Like if you wanted to ask yourself, okay, what am I? Who am I? Some people argue that you are awareness. We are awareness. This is our true nature. And that these bodies and these minds and these type of things are just temporary. We inhabit them. We're here for a while, just like our thoughts. They come, they stay a while, and then they go. But in some philosophies, maybe not necessarily Buddhism, but in Advaita Vedanta, for example, a form of Hinduism, they believe that observer continues on in the form of a universal observer. So that awareness of awareness, you will find many teachers teach it, and it's almost the one that most appreciate the most. They if you ask, I think some of the famous names like Sharon Salzberg and maybe even Joseph Goldstein, I'm not sure, but like you'll ask them, well, what kind of practice do you practice? And they're like, well, awareness of awareness, or choiceless awareness, or open awareness. So they come by different names. And probably, maybe this will be the last thing I'll say about it, is probably the most important thing, especially when we're learning, is to not have expectation. To try to set aside any wanting, any belief, any not wanting, any form of expectation. Just try to set that aside, leave it out there on the calle in the street, and then try to come in with as open a mind as you possibly can have, and then just see what arises, see what happens. And, and try not to judge even what happens, even if your mind was just all over the place for 32 minutes, then if you knew that, you were aware, you were meditating. It's when you're lost for 32 minutes and you don't even know what happened, well, then maybe you need to practice a little bit more. Does someone have a question or want to say something? I see a hand in the back.
I have two questions.
Okay, let's do one at a time.
Oh, okay. You mentioned Vipassana a lot, and I heard about this 10 days retreat, and I wanted to know if you know about it and if you think that everyone could benefit from it, or if you have an opinion about that.
Okay. Those of you on Zoom, were you able to hear the question? Oh, okay, good. So yes, I've heard about it. And yes, I think everybody could benefit from it. It's a tough one. I did it only once. And it is, it's pretty challenging, in part because it's no frills. Now here in Spain, I'm not so sure how the accommodations are. The one I did was in India. But I imagine even in Spain, they're going to be pretty simple. The food is going to be relatively simple. You know, it's a lot of practice. You don't actually have a teacher. Well, it's not much different than me, because he's on video, because he's passed now, Goenka, the teacher. So you watch videos and stuff. So I've even joked, and this is a joke, okay? But I've joked that I would rather do a month-long retreat in the style that I'm used to than do another 10 days of going. But that's one of my sarcastic jokes. Absolutely. I think everybody should do it at least once, and some people love it. I've known people that have gone 10, 20 times. They keep going. Now, in that style, they use body scans as their way of creating the insight, the attention, continuity of attention. But yeah, that's absolutely. And there's, Spain, I think, is the only country that actually has 2 Goenka Vipassana centers in Europe. There's one, I think, in near Avila, in the Gredos, and then I think there's one up in maybe near Catalonia or in Catalonia. I'm not sure.
Barcelona.
That was 2 questions. Do you have another question, or?
I have a second question.
Okay.
When I meditate at home, I see that already for 10 minutes, I find it almost long. And when I come in the group, I can easily do an hour and I feel quite focused. And I was wondering if you have some advices how I can be more focused at home, because there's always, I could do this, I could do this and that. And I didn't find out for myself yet how I can improve that.
Yeah. Well, you answered your own question right there. It's those thoughts that I could be doing this, I could be doing that, because it sounds like at home you have a lot of things you could be doing. And so they're going to be calling your attention. And so what I would recommend is that when one of those things calls your attention, let that be the object. Just pay attention to that calling. Pay attention to how you feel, like the ganas that may be arising or whatever to do it. And then when something else calls you, let that be the object. And really experience, what does it feel like to be called to do something? But then try not to do it. Try not to get up and do it. Just try to be with the calling. Does that make sense?
So yeah, I'll give it a try. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a good question, and one that I know many of us also experience at home. Yeah. Javier, do you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to say that for that person that I use in my daily practice, I listen guided meditation, and for me is easy. It's more easy to meditate.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. Yeah, I don't know if you use guided meditations when you practice at home, but yeah, that would also maybe create a sense of maybe community and formality. And yeah, that sounds like a good idea as well. Thank you, Javier. Anyone else? Okay, well, good. Oh, I see a hand. Is that Jesus? I can't tell, but
Yeah. So every now and then I'm able to notice, like, whenever like a thought arises, like I can like spot, like I can see kind of the energy behind it, right? Like something almost physical, but something like subtle, right? But sometimes like they kind of that energy like doesn't match the content of the thought, like it might be just, it's like a random thought triggering like negative maybe emotion, like is that kind of like how the mind works, like something like gets triggered or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
is like,
that, mm-hmm.
Yeah, just wondering, because like it's not like negative stuff like triggered like a negative emotion or like uncomfortable emotion. It's just like a regular thought, like kind of like neutral, like kind of like I can notice at the same time something like really uncomfortable, maybe in my head, or like something kind of a negative, like feeling I want to shake.
Just want to make sure the people online were able to hear the question. No? Okay. And I'm going to try to summarize, and I might not get it exactly right, but it sounds like thoughts are arising and there's sensation arising, and they don't always seem like they're connected. Like there might be a negative thought and a different kind of sensation, or the other way around. Is that kind of what you're asking, Jesus?
Yes.
Okay. And, with 99% really of the things that arise, the answer is pretty much going to be the same, and that is simply to observe it and try not to judge it, and try not to figure it out too much. Try not to make a story about it. Because again, probably 99% of the stuff that arises is arising, or maybe 100%, due to causes and conditions going all the way back our entire life, and maybe the lives of our parents and grandparents, and just going back forever. Those things come together. Our mind is an habitual creature. It creates habits of thought, habits of belief, all sorts of habits. And these thoughts arise as a result of those causes and conditions. And the sensations as well. They will arise because of certain causes and conditions. And it's not really all that important whether they're connected, whether one leads to the other, why they arise. Where we want to get is back to that observing place where we just observe them without judging, without worrying, without trying to push them away, and nor trying to grasp them. This is kind of where we want to go. And it's, first of all, I want to comment that you noticing this is phenomenal. Genial. I mean, that is great that you're able to notice this stuff. You are being aware, right? That's what it's about. So now you've got possibly an habituated pattern of questioning these things, or maybe worrying about them or wondering about them, which is fine. But then we also just notice that, oh, I'm really wondering what is going on with these sensations and these thoughts. Oh, that's interesting, because that's just another thought, right? And this is where we want to keep practicing, is just to get into that observing, non-judging place. And then all these things will work themselves out. And in fact, what will happen is the habits will start to change over time. And the negativity will start, it just will. It'll start to drop away. And they'll still happen. They'll still come, but it'll be less. They won't be as strong. They won't be as loud. They won't be as frequent. It just starts to happen. So I hope that answered your question. But that's great. Good work, Jesus. I mean, that's really super. To be able to see that and see that so clearly is really good awareness.
Thank you.
So yeah, why don't we do like 6 minutes of walking meditation, okay? So for those of you who are new to the walking practice, again, the idea is the same, where we're going to choose an anchor. In this case, the anchor or the object of our attention is our feet touching the ground. Okay? Or just, if you want to go more full body, maybe the legs moving. And when the mind wanders, which for some of us, the mind wanders more in walking meditation than seated. For others, it's different, but same thing. You notice your mind has wandered, and then you bring it back to the feet. And so we usually just pick a spot. I mean, there's not so many of you tonight in Saladana, so maybe you pick 2 or 3 meters, and you just are going to walk slowly so you can really be conscious of your feet to the end of that 2 or 3 meters. Then you consciously, with awareness, turn around, and then you walk back. And this is such a useful practice because we can use it in our daily lives. Anytime, we're out there on the street, walking to the metro or whatever, our mind, we notice, is really just starting to, dar vueltas, it's obsessing. And then we just put our attention in our feet. Just walk. It's quite nice. So we'll do that for 6 minutes, okay? And I'll ring the bell again when we reach 6 minutes. I'm also going to do it. Thank you all again for your practice, and hope you enjoyed the walking meditation. You know, going to, okay, bye, Lara. Going to the comment about guided meditations at home. So I use an app called Insight Timer. That's been around some number of years. When it first came out, it was called Zen Timer. And according to this, 512,000 people are here today. So I guess we meditated with 519,000 people. And they have quite a number of guided meditations, as well as other, it's, you know, developed over the years. It used to just be a timer, and now it's almost an insight social media thing. According to this, there are 19 million members, 19 million members. So that's one way you can maybe create a sense of community at home, is to use the Insight Timer. See if I can bring it to the front here so you can see the picture. How does it work here? The no, I wanted to show you just the symbol on the app, but well, it's, for mine anyways, it's a little bell. Maybe you can see the bell there. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Okay, well, in a little bit of time that we have left, maybe we'll finish up with the factor of rapture, ecstasy. No, maybe they don't use ecstasy. Maybe in Spanish, I think they use ecstasy, but I'm not sure it means the same thing as in English. But they say rapture. Anyways, almost the best word is the Pali word, piti. Piti. So maybe, I don't know if the board is still up, has them listed out. Alethea, is the board up with the 7 factors of awakening, or is it not there? That's okay if it isn't. I can bring it up. He's still gone. Well, anyways, the piti, and so is it visible, or? Yeah, okay, good. So piti is the first, actually, no, it's the last, I'm sorry, of the energizing factors, the ones that give us the energy to be able to continue on down the path. And as we talked about last week, it can be quite powerful in terms of its sensation. It can be quite pleasant, or sometimes it can even be kind of unpleasant because it's quite powerful. And for those of you who've been meditating some time, you've probably experienced it from time to time. It can manifest as just kind of a tingly sensation, maybe in the body, or even a kind of light tingly sensation in the mind. It's often translated as joy for that reason. You know, it's rather joyful. It can also manifest as kind of waves of energy going through the body that can be quite pleasant. but can also get so intense that it can even suppress your breath a little bit. I get this kind of thing happen. And it can even go so far as to make your hair feel like it's standing on end. I don't know if it does, but it can feel that way. And for many people, well, and even go on, it can even make you feel like you're levitating, like you're not even sitting on the floor. Or you might even feel like you're sitting sideways. I mean, it can manifest in numerous ways, probably as many as these 19 million different people on the Insight Timer. You could probably have 19 million variations. I don't know. So where we were reading from Joseph Goldstein's book, is we were to the point where he gives some warnings, because some people, they get to this stage of piti, this factor, and then they think they're like done. They're like, God, this is so cool. You know, it feels so good. I don't need to do anything more. And then they stop, they cling to it. And this can really stop our progress. So I'm just going to read just a little bit from his book. Let's see, I got to first hit share screen. Let's see, hold on one second, figure out where that came in. Right here. So the imperfections of insight, it's kind of how he phrases it, where we think that we are achieving insight. We think we've got it. Oh my gosh, I'm there. Nibbana is here. But in fact, it's fooling us. It's tricking us. See right here, he writes, I won't get fooled by these states. And yet almost everyone does for a shorter or longer period of time. So if you are at this stage in your practice where you find that you get to a nice, pleasant, still, quiet place where there's a nice physical and mental sensation to it, try not to cling to that. Try not to think that, okay, I'm done. I mean, I fall into this all the time where I'm like satisfied, this is good enough. But indeed, there's still 3 more factors to go. There's tranquility, there's samadhi, and then there's equanimity. And I remember one of my teachers, last week I had it backwards, which teacher said which, but I think it was Gil Fronsdale, who is a very well-known American teacher. He said, piti is nice, but wait till you get to equanimity, right? That one's a lot better. Yeah, so right here, this is the thing we want to watch out for. Attachment arises, which is subtle and peaceful. This is so interesting because we like subtle, we want peaceful, but attachment is attachment. And attachment will arrest or stop our progress. Attachment becomes what they call a defilement. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. So rapture is one of the translations. It's not the only one. So here, this is, I think, important. We need to cultivate rapture and all the other factors of awakening. So we don't want to attach to it, but we do want to cultivate it. It's part of the process. We need to know how to work with them skillfully. You know, it could, it could take years really to work with piti in a wholesome way. It's not something that we're going to get, in a couple weekends or whatever. So here's the way he kind of looks at this. When we feel one of the manifestations of rapture, one of the manifestations of piti, it is important to recognize it for what it is. He writes, we might feel it in the body as momentary, wave-like, or pervading pleasurable feelings, or we might experience it as a heightened interest and delight in the mind. So it can be the whole spectrum, from just a very physical, body-like sensation to something that occurs in the mind. Okay, causes for the arising. Again, everything arises because of causes and conditions. So we set the stage, we create the causes and conditions, and then the piti will arise. Let's see, just read this real quick. So rapture arises when there is a strong momentum of mindfulness. Remember that, which hopefully you can see the board, and I know Javier and Nacho, you've got them down. But the very first factor is mindfulness. Without mindfulness, none of this other stuff is possible. So we're mindful, which means we're aware without greed and without aversion. We're aware with kindness. So rapture arises when there is a strong momentum of mindfulness. It arises out of a delight in clear seeing, a delight in knowing. There can be this Dharma delight even in an exploration of the hindrances or different defilements as we come to a deeper understanding of them. I get this with my nose. I got this weird nose issue, but I use it as my anchor. And I can get to a place where I get that Dharma delight, just noticing this crazy nose of mine. Sayadaw U Tejaniya, one of Joseph's teachers and one of the more important teachers in this, what's the word I want? Rama, what is that? Branch of Buddhism, emphasized, you should be happy when you know or understand anything. This knowing, this clear knowing, creates this sense of joy. So he's pointing out even boredom can be used to create that sense of joy, that sense of piti. Like we're talking about the calling to do things in the house. That calling can be a source of piti, an interest. We take interest in it. Oh, how interesting is this? What does it feel like? Okay, let's see. Ways to strengthen it. I see we're just about out of time. Reflecting on the three jewels of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. That's one thing. Contemplating contemplating the goodness of your practice, that alone can create some piti, some joy. Reflecting on acts of generosity, this is beautiful for saladana, right? Since we do everything based on generosity. It's getting a little more obscure, the devas, the godlike characters. Reflecting on peace. There we go. That's the next factor, which he calls calm. Some people call it tranquility. So I'll just end with this. A lot of us have thought, many of us still do, that meditation is about not thinking. But that's not true. It's about noticing our thoughts and using them wholesomely, using thoughts in a productive way. And so those reflections that we heard there at the end, those are going to require some thinking, but they're going to push us down the path. They're onward leading, right? Where we reflect on these wonderful things. I mean, just like we do at the end of the first sitting, just reflecting on the fact that you've come here on Sunday, and not as many as some people. So some people didn't make it, right? But you did. You're here and you practiced, and that alone is a wonderful thing and something that possibly could create a little joy. Okay, well, we're going to end with a little short metta, and this is another form of wholesome thinking that we can use at any time, absolutely any time. And for those of you who are new to it, we're going to use phrases to offer goodwill or metta to ourselves and others. And I say the same ones every week. For some of you, you're probably bored of hearing them. And so you can use whatever ones you want. We're going to go 5 groups. We're going to start off with somebody we just love, a benefactor, somebody we adore, look up to. Then we're going to go to ourselves. Then we're going to go to a difficult person. And then lastly, all beings. Okay? So I usually put my hands on my heart center because this is considered a heart practice. Just a habit I've created. So I'm going to say out loud 4 different phrases, and you can say them mentally to yourself. So first, bring to mind somebody in your life, or it could even be a public figure, who you really admire. You love unconditionally. Even a pet could work. So imagine that being. We'll offer them metta. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And now we'll do ourself. I. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be safe. May I live with ease. Okay, now the difficult person. Hopefully it's somebody more difficult than yourself. So imagine somebody maybe where there's a little resentment, a little hurt. Somebody did or didn't do something you wanted. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And finally, all beings in all directions without exception. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings live with ease. And then finally, to end our session today in the spirit of letting go, generosity, dana, renunciation, let's offer up the fruit of our practice today, our Sangha, our Buddha nature, the teachings, offer these up to the benefit of all beings, all life. May all beings be happy and peaceful, healthy and strong, safe and protected. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, free from war and violence, discrimination, racism, and free from coronavirus and all its forms. And may all beings find their factors, find their path towards freedom, towards equanimity. May all beings be free. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you for coming. Just a quick announcement about dana, which is the Pali and Sanskrit word for giving or generosity. So this is how we are operating from Saladana, where all the teachings, whether it be yoga or meditation, they're offered freely without any charge. And at the same time, the participants can practice dana as well, and we encourage it. So you can help clean up, those of you who are in the hall, put things away. And if you see something laying around, you know, a plastic water bottle or something, if you don't mind just taking it with you, keep it nice and clean there. And you can also leave a financial donation, a donativo, to help us with the bills. And there should be a donation box out in the entrada. And we very much appreciate your generosity. We also, our website is really coming along now, and we have, I think, 19 classes per week of yoga and meditation. So you can check out saladana.org for that. We've also got a bulletin board where I think a couple things are starting to show up. And if you do have an offering, feel free to post it on our bulletin board. And some of you go out afterwards, I know, for some vegetarian supper. I don't know if Alethea or whoever, Gore maybe is going to orchestrate that, but everybody's invited usually, or I think always. And yeah, I think that's it. Nacho, do you have any announcements or? No, Nacho's good. Okay. So yeah, I think that's it. Anybody want to say anything or?
Thank you very much and safe travels.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you, Alethea, for being our technician tonight. I forgot to mention her. Without her, I wouldn't be able to do this. And good, I'll see hopefully all of you next Sunday. Have a very good week. And, you know, Alethea, you could just, Nacho, can you pick up the box tomorrow when you go in? So Alethea will just leave it, okay?
Yeah, sure, no problem. And thank you very much, Alicia, for everything.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Okay, buenas noches.
Bye.